So the book that we are reading today is Dr. Seuss, ABC, an amazing alphabet book. So big A, little a, what begins with A? Aunt Annie's alligator. Big B, little b, what begins with B? Barber, baby, bubbles, and a bumblebee. Big C, little c, what begins with C? Camel on the ceiling, C. Big D, little d, what begins with D? Donuts and a duck dog. Big E, little e, what begins with E? Ear, egg, elephant. Big F, little f, what begins with F? Floor, four, fluffy, feathers on a feeder, feth. Big G, little g, what begins with G? Goat and Google goggles, G. Big H, little h, what begins with H? Hungry, horse, hen, and hat, H. Big I, little I, what begins with I? Itchy, itchy, itcha, bold. Big J, little j, what begins with J? Jerry, Jordan's, jelly, jar, J. Big K, little k, what begins with K? Kangaroo and kite, K. Big L, little l, what begins with L? Lion with a lollipop, L. Big M, little m, what begins with M? Mice in the moonlight, M. Big N, little n, what begins with those? 9, new, neckties, nightshirt, nose. Big O, little o, what begins with O? Ostrich, oil, orange, owl, O. Big P, little p, what begins with P? Painting some pajamas, pink, P. Big Q, little q, what begins with Q? The quick queen of Quincy and her quacking quackaroo. Big R, little r, what begins with R? Rosie's red rhinoceros. R. Big S, little s, what begins with S? Sammy's sipping soda pop. S. Big T, little t, what begins with T? 10 tired turtles on a tuttle tree. T. Big U, little u, what begins with U? Uncle, Ubs, umbrella, and his underwear too. Big V, little v, what begins with V? Verna, Vera, Vin, and her violet violin. Big W, little w, what begins with W? Willie's in the wash tub, washing Waldo wool. Big X, little x, what begins with X? X-ray and xylophone. X. Big Y, little y, what begins with Y? A yawning yellow yak with Yolanda on his back. Big Z, little z, what begins with Z? A zizzer, zazzer, zoo, as you can plainly see. The end.